by studying all of this was we had to go into Armageddon and what that actually meant. What did Armageddon mean? Because we used to teach the spiritual view, or at least I did. We taught these things. But now, coming to the foundation of a literal understanding, how then do we then take Armageddon?
Yes, because even when we looked at Lewis Ware, he didn't just talk about those that believe in the King of the North, but those that also believe that Armageddon was a literal, would reject righteousness by faith. So let's look into that. In Revelation chapter 16, verse 12, it reads, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared." And we mentioned this in the part 1, where River Euphrates, that's in Turkey nowadays, Asia Minor. And we're going to see that this battle is a literal battle, looking at different quotes from Ellen White. "4 mighty angels hold back the powers of this earth till the servants of God are sealed in their foreheads. The nations of the world are eager for what?
Conflict.
For conflict. But what's happening? They are held in check by who?
The angels.
The angels. When this restraining power is removed, there will come a time of trouble and anguish. Why? Because now those that were eager for conflict, there will be nothing stopping them from moving forward. That's one reason the 4 winds being held is stopping worse wars than what we're seeing right now to take place. Although we see wars and rumors of wars, it could be worse. It will get worse, but the 4 winds are being held right now. She goes on, "Deadly instruments of warfare will be invented."
Is it spiritual weapon or physical weapon?
It looks literal to me when we read it. "Vessels with their living cargo will be entombed in the great deep." How is that happening? That's because there's an actual, a literal war taking place. "All who have not the spirit of truth will unite under the leadership of satanic agencies, but they are to be kept under control till what? Till the time shall come for the great battle of Armageddon." That's pretty clear to me that things are being held in check right now until the 4 winds are let loose, and it's going to be chaos. That sounds like a literal war that's going to take place.
And God, you see here, he's waiting for us to be sealed.
Yes.
So he wants us to go back to the platform, give the everlasting gospel, and when his people are prepared, now he will let these wars go to another magnitude, so deadly instrument now will be used. So if you put in your mind right now, it's a spiritual, when these things happen, you're going to be like, I was just waiting for the Sunday law. How come all these wars are broken out everywhere, and what is this? How come the ministers didn't tell me about this part? They said it was a spiritual, but here we see clearly is a literal war.
We have more. Thank you, Early, for adding that. But while already, this is in Testimonies to the Church, Volume 6, but while already nation is rising against nation and kingdom against kingdom, there is not now a general engagement. As yet, the 4 winds are held until the servants of God shall be sealed in their foreheads. Then the powers of earth will marshal their forces for what? For the last great battle. Is that a spiritual battle or a literal battle?
Literal.
4 mighty angels are still holding the 4 winds of the earth. Terrible destruction is forbidden to come in full. That means they will come in full.
Yes.
But not right now.
Not right now.
The winds will be stirring up of the nations to one deadly combat, while the angels hold the four winds, forbidding the terrible power of Satan to be exercised and its fury until the servants of God are sealed in their foreheads. So what will happen when they are sealed now? What will take place?
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
And what's the seal again? Settling in what? The truth and spiritually and intellectually. So we need to understand the events to be sealed. And now God's like, don't be scared. You overcame sin. You accepted my messages. You preach the gospel. Now I can let these things happen.
Yeah. Then I saw the four angels seize to hold the four winds. So now what will happen, she says. And I saw famine. This is after they stop holding the four winds. I saw famine. I saw pestilence and sword. Nation rose against nation. It was not symbolic. And the whole world was in confusion.
Wow.
I hope that's clear to everyone and that we're understanding more and more just by reading her writings that this war is literal. And if that's not enough, even if you look at what's happening right now, this map that we're seeing on the slide there, it's showing an inventory of the nuclear warhead. You know, she talks about deadly instruments of warfare that will be invented. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's an arrow going up to most of the numbers, like Russia, United Kingdom. These numbers are increasing even today. They keep making more, and they're saying, well, they're doing this so people don't want to fight back. You know, it's like a way to check everybody. So, because if you see me with these big weapons, then you're not going to want to, try to take over, try to push over me. But we know when those four winds are let go and the Spirit of God is not withholding these people anymore, anything is possible at that point. And even if we go to the next slide, one nuclear-armed Poseidon torpedo could decimate a coastal city. Russia wants 30 of them. Why?
Wow.
We have to start asking ourselves these questions. Why do they want this? Next slide. And we're seeing submarines right now. All these things are, if you guys don't know a little bit about submarines, is that before they were diesel-powered. And what happened when submarines are diesel-powered, every once in a while they have to go back to get oxygen so their batteries could be charged. And that defeats the purpose, because really what you want with submarines is so that you're not detected by radars and people don't really know where you are. But now, because of technology that's advancing, now we have submarines that are nuclear powered. And what that means is they can stay underwater literally forever. But because there are people in there and they need supply, food, every once in a while they have to come back up. So technology is advancing, and it's just, you have no idea where your enemy is. And it's all a mind game for now, but when the winds are loose, when they stop holding it by the angels, something different is going to take place.
So a question. Do you think that the world is ready for this to happen? Do you think that this is primed and ready for all the deadly instruments ready to go out? And
No.
no.
We need to be settled in the truth first.
Need to be settled in the truth first. But the world is getting ready.
It is.
It's getting ready. It's building up to this moment when Armageddon will happen. And funnily enough, we actually have a quote from James White that actually talks about Armageddon. Again, it may be asked how the way of the kings of the East will be prepared by the drying up or the consumption of the Ottoman power. The answer is obvious. For what is the way of these kings to be prepared? Answer, to come up to the great battle. Where is the battle to be fought? At Jerusalem. See Joel and Zephaniah. but Jerusalem is in the hands of the Turks. They hold possession of the land of Palestine and the sacred sepulchres. Here is the bone of contention. On these the nations have fixed their covetous and jealous eyes. Where have they fixed their eyes on? Turkey. But though Turkey now possesses them and others want them, it is nevertheless thought necessary to the tranquility of Europe that Turkey should be maintained in her position in order to preserve, as it is called, the balance of power. Her office, therefore, at present, seems to be merely like that of a great and distended shell, which, so long as it can be kept from collapsing, keeps at distance belligerent and hostile powers. Therefore, the four allied powers of Europe are pledged to sustain the integrity of the Sultan's throne. By them alone it is now maintained, and when they shall withdraw their hands and leave it to itself, as we believe they will do under the sixth plague, that symbolic river will be clean, dried up. Turkey will be no more, and the way will be all open for the nations to rush to the Holy Land. The kings of the east, the nationalities, powers, and the kingdoms lying east of Palestine will act a conspicuous part in the matter. For Joel says, in reference to the scene, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Wow. And whenever you listen, read, and discuss with other denominations and other faiths, where are they all going to? They're all going to Jerusalem. Everybody wants Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. So isn't it amazing how Turkey is one of the reasons that's holding it all together? Mm-hmm. And so why hasn't Armageddon happened? How is this related? How is all of this related to the three angels' messages? We touched upon it briefly, but how is this related to the third angel's message? Mm-hmm. Well, what was the third angel's message? We'll kind of brief up on it. Mackenzie has been talking about it. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Why is it important that they keep the commandments of God? Well, when did the third angel begin to sound? Well, that was whenever the seventh trumpet was starting to sound. That was whenever 1844 happened, after the 2300 days. What happened? In Revelation 11:19, the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. What was contained in the ark?
The Ten Commandments.
The Ten Commandments. Why is that important?
We'll find out. They found out about the Sabbath and the sealing message. Do somebody know which year that happened? The sealing message? It happened in 1848. We will see that. But let's read. When we begin to present the light on the Sabbath question, we had no clear defined idea of the third angel's message of Revelation 14, 9 to 12. Mm-hmm. The burden of our testimony as we came before the people was that the great second advent movement was of God. But the first and second message had been gone forth, and that the third was to be given. We saw that the third message closed with the word, Here is the patience of the saint. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And we as clearly saw, as we now see, that these prophetic words suggest a Sabbath reform. But as to what the worship of the beast mentioned in the message was, and was the image and the mark of the beast were, we had no defined position. So they were learning after the ark was open. Ariam Edson saw the sanctuary of Jesus moving from the holy to the most holy place. Now they're like, okay, let's study what's in the ark. And most of them were Sunday keepers. And now they said, okay, we have to, I guess, keep the Sabbath, and we'll see more connected with that. God, by his Holy Spirit, let light shine forth upon his servant, and the subject gradually opened to their minds. It requires much study and anxious care to search it out. Link after link, by care, anxiety, and incessant labor, has the work moved until the great truth of our message, a clear, connected, perfect whole, have been given to the world.
Amen.
So all these messages have to be connected. We saw that the first and the second angel's message was given, and it was also tied with the Ottoman Empire. Do we think the third angel's message is also linked with the last woe?